My name is Olivia Bennett, and I've had a heart condition since birth. At 23, I've spent my life carefully managing medications, following doctor's orders, and proving I could live independently despite my medical challenges. Everything was under control until my stepmother, Diana, decided to help. I inherited a substantial trust fund from my mother, who died when I was 8. The conditions were clear. I'd gain full access at 25, provided I could demonstrate responsible management of my health. Diana married my father when I was 12, and for years she played the role of concerned stepmother perfectly. Looking back, I should have noticed how her interest in my medication routine intensified as my 25th birthday approached. "Sweetheart," she said one morning, watching me sort through my pill organizer, "your system seems so complicated. Why don't you let me help organize everything?" I used to be a pharmaceutical sales rep, you know. I declined politely. My system worked fine. Use color-coded containers, detailed logs, everything tracked in my health app. But Diana was persistent. "James," she told my father, "I'm worried about Olivia. She's so stubborn about her medications. What if she makes a mistake?" Dad, ever trusting, encouraged me to accept Diana's help. "She just wants what's best for you, honey. Give her a chance." So I compromised, allowing her to help review my medication schedule. That was my first mistake. It started small, my tea pills looking slightly different, which Diana explained away as new manufacturers or updated formulations. My usually stable condition began fluctuating. Some days I felt fine, others I could barely get out of bed. Dr. Martinez, my cardiologist, was concerned during my monthly checkup. "Your numbers are erratic, Olivia. Are you sure you're taking your medications correctly?" "Of course she is." Diana jumped in before I could answer. She'd insisted on accompanying me to appointments lately. I've been helping her organize everything. That night, I felt worse than usual. My heart was racing, my breathing labored. Diana found me in the bathroom, clutching my chest. "Oh dear," she said, her voice too calm. "Let's get you to the hospital." In the ER, my blood pressure was dangerously high. The doctor asked about my medications, and Diana smoothly handed over my pill organizer, the one she'd reorganized that morning. "Something's wrong," I gasped. "These don't feel like my usual medications." Diana's face showed perfect concern. "Sweetheart, you're confused. They're exactly what your doctor prescribed." I labeled everything carefully, but as the ER staff began checking my pills against my prescription records, Diana's helpful facade cracked slightly. She kept trying to take back the organizer, insisting there must be a mix-up with the pharmacy. The ER doctor, Dr. Kane, wasn't buying it. She ordered blood tests and called my cardiologist. Then she asked Diana to step out, turning to me with serious eyes. "Olivia, I need you to be honest. Has anyone else had access to your medications?" Before I could answer, my father burst in, Diana crying dramatically behind him. "The pharmacy made a mistake," she wailed. "I was only trying to help." But Dr. Kane had already seen the evidence. My blood work showed a dangerous combination of medications, some doses too high, others too low, and some drugs that weren't prescribed to me at all. "This isn't a pharmacy error," Dr. Kane said firmly. "These medications have been deliberately tampered with. We're calling the police." Diana's tears dried instantly. She grabbed her purse, mumbling something about getting coffee, and slipped out before anyone could stop her. As security footage would later show, she didn't go for coffee. She went straight to my house, trying to dispose of evidence. But she didn't know about the small camera I'd installed in my medication cabinet just 2 weeks earlier, a precaution that would prove to be my salvation. Detective Laura Morgan sat beside my hospital bed, her expression grim as she showed me photos from my medication cabinet camera. The footage was damning. Diana methodically switching pills, carefully recreating labels, even logging into my health app with a stolen password to alter my medication records. "She's been doing this for months," Detective Morgan explained. "The pharmacy records show multiple unauthorized refills under your name, prescriptions called in by someone claiming to be from your doctor's office." My father stood by the window, his face ashen. He'd insisted on seeing the evidence himself, unable to believe his wife of 11 years could do this. Now watching Diana systematically poison his daughter, his world was crumbling. "The trust fund," he whispered. She kept asking about the trust fund. Everything clicked into place. Diana had been methodically sabotaging my health, making it appear I couldn't manage my condition. If I was deemed incapable of handling my medical care, control of my trust fund would revert to my legal guardian, my father. and Diana, as his wife, would have access to everything. We found this in her home office, Detective Morgan said, sliding over a document. It was a draft petition for guardianship, already filled out in Diana's elegant handwriting. The date on it was 3 months away, just before my 25th birthday. She was planning to have me declared incompetent, I said, my voice shaking. All these health episodes, the confusion about my medications, she was building a case against me. The investigation revealed more horrifying details. Diana had joined online support groups for caretakers, gathering information about heart conditions and medication side effects. She'd been carefully documenting my declining health in a private journal, creating a paper trail of my supposed inability to care for myself. The most disturbing part, Detective Morgan continued, is that she's done this before. My head snapped up. What? She showed me an old news article. 20 years ago, Diana's, under a different name, had been investigated for similar behavior with an elderly aunt. The case had been dropped when the aunt died of apparently natural causes, leaving Diana a substantial inheritance. She changed her name legally before meeting your father, the detective explained. That's why nothing showed up in background checks. My father sank into a chair, looking decades older. All those times she insisted on managing our finances, encouraging me to combine our accounts. She's been planning this from the beginning. The hospital staff had been gathering their own evidence. Dr. Kane returned with my updated blood work, showing traces of medications that could have caused serious heart complications if the tampering hadn't been discovered. You're lucky you installed that camera, she said. Another few weeks of this, and we might not have caught it in time. I thought about the small camera, purchased on a gut feeling after noticing my pills looking different. Diana had been so careful, so methodical, but she'd made one crucial mistake, underestimating me. The police found Diana at the airport, attempting to flee with a suitcase full of cash and jewelry from my father's safe. She'd emptied their joint accounts that morning, just as she'd planned to do with my trust fund. When confronted with the evidence, Diana's caring stepmother facade vanished completely. She doesn't deserve that money, she spat. I've been taking care of her for years while she coasts through life, on her dead mother's millions. Her words hit my father hardest. He'd trusted this woman with his daughter's life, welcomed her into our family, defended her helpful nature to anyone who questioned it. Now he saw what everyone else had missed, the calculation behind her every move. The hospital assigned a security detail to my room, though it seemed unnecessary with Diana in custody. Still, each time a nurse came to administer medication, I found myself double-checking the labels, questioning every pill. It's normal to feel paranoid, my new therapist assured me. Your trust was violated in one of the most fundamental ways possible. Dad spent every moment he could at the hospital, as if trying to make up for years of blind trust in Diana. He brought my childhood photos, including ones of my mother that Diana had hidden away years ago. I was so desperate to believe you had a mother figure again, he admitted one evening, that I ignored every red flag. Can you ever forgive me? Looking at him, blinking at him, guilty, but finally clear-eyed about Diana's manipulation. I realized forgiveness might be possible, but trust? That would take time. As I began my recovery, one thing became crystal clear. I would never let anyone else manage my medications again. Diana had tried to use my heart condition to control me, but instead, she'd taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you need to watch most carefully. 1 year after Diana's arrest, I sat in the courthouse for her sentencing hearing. The evidence against her was overwhelming: medical tampering, attempted financial fraud, identity theft, and premeditated malicious intent. The prosecution had even found evidence linking her to her aunt's suspicious death years ago. I listened as victims from her past came forward. There was a former stepdaughter from a brief marriage in Colorado, whose college fund had mysteriously disappeared. A neighbor from Florida, whose elderly mother had suffered unexplained health complications, while Diana acted as her caregiver. Each story followed the same pattern: trust, manipulation, and calculated abuse. When it was my turn to give my victim impact statement, I stood tall despite my shaking hands. My heart condition never held me back, I began, looking directly at Diana. I learned to manage it, to thrive despite it, but you saw it as an opportunity, a weakness to exploit. You didn't just tamper with my medications. You tried to steal my independence, my future, and nearly my life. Diana sat there, perfectly poised in her prison jumpsuit, showing no emotion. But I wasn't finished. The worst part wasn't the physical danger, it was watching you manipulate my father, using his love for me as a weapon. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed every moment of trust our family gave you. The judge's sentence exceeded even the prosecution's recommendations. 25 years for the multiple charges, with no possibility of parole for at least 18 years. As they led Diana away, she finally broke her composed mask. "You ungrateful brat," she snarled. "I gave you 11 years of my life." "No," I replied calmly. "You spent 11 years plotting to steal mine." Outside the courthouse, my father waited with Dr. Martinez, my cardiologist, who had testified about the potentially lethal effects of Diana's medication tampering. They'd become unlikely friends through this ordeal, both feeling responsible for not noticing the signs sooner. "Your mother would be proud," Dad said, hugging me tight. "You fought back, just like she always did." The mention of my mother brought a bittersweet smile. During Diana's trial, we'd discovered she'd hidden away more than just photos. There were letters, journals, and videos my mother had left for me, things Diana had kept locked away to maintain her control over our family narrative. Life gradually found a new rhythm. I moved into my own apartment, equipped with a state-of-the-art medication management system that logged and photographed every pill bottle access. Some called it paranoid. I called it prudent. The trust fund that Diana had coveted so desperately was finally mine, but I chose to use it differently than anyone expected. I established a foundation to help victims of medical abuse and exploitation, focusing on providing security systems and monitoring services for vulnerable patients. Dad found his own way to heal, volunteering with organizations that screened caregivers, and helping other families spot the warning signs we'd missed. His guilt gradually transformed into purpose, though I often caught him watching my medication routine with worried eyes. My story caught national attention, leading to new legislation requiring stricter background checks for caregivers and better monitoring of prescription modifications. They called it Olivia's Law, though I insisted on including the names of Diana's other victims as well. Dr. Martinez helped me develop a medical alert system that would notify multiple trusted contacts if any unusual changes were made to my prescriptions. "Your experience could save lives," she told me, "by showing others what to watch for." On my 25th birthday, the day Diana had planned to seize control of my trust fund, I celebrated by opening the first medical advocacy center funded by my foundation. The center offered free security consultations, legal aid, and support groups for survivors of medical abuse. During the opening ceremony, I unveiled a wall of prevention tips, with the first one reading, "Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong with your medical care, it probably is." As I cut the ribbon, I touched the heart-shaped locket I now wore, one of my mother's treasures Diana had hidden away. Inside was a photo of Mom, and a tiny inscription, "Your heart is strong in every way that matters." Diana had tried to use my heart condition to break me, but she'd failed. Instead, she'd helped me discover just how strong my heart truly was, both the physical one I'd always carefully protected, and the emotional one that had survived her betrayal. My father joined me on stage, both of us finally at peace with our past, and focused on preventing others from experiencing what we had. Together we were turning our tragedy into something meaningful, proving that sometimes the worst betrayals can lead to the most important missions. The end.